Hello, and welcome to the Max Revenue Show. I am your host, Trey Shields, also known as the Mediocre Producer, along with the Zen Master of Commercial Insurance, Micah Salas. Micah, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you doing, man?
Just another day. Today's episode is going to be entitled something along the lines of how to bounce back after taking a tough loss. In the last week, I have gotten multiple messages from people, other producers saying, hey, what's your take, or more importantly, Micah's take on like follow-up? I presented, I keep losing, like how do I follow up with these prospects, blah, blah, blah. And then Micah, I think you also just took a very rare loss right on the chin. I think it's still a little flared up and tender, so we're going to poke on that for a little bit. But before we get into that, shout out to the title sponsor of the Max Revenue Show, Insurance Xdate. Can't recommend it enough. It's basically, I don't know, Micah, you take this. How would you describe it? A lead gen, find prospects based off their Xdate, and reverse
Easy
engineer
button.
150 days out. How do you take this promo today?
I've said it before, oxygen for, your sales prospecting efforts, the easy button. And I say all this because I genuinely mean it, but since 2020, I wish I could remember the guy. I can't remember his name. Some guy I was chatting with out in Georgia was like, have you ever heard of Insurance Xdate? I was like, no. And he's like, you should check it out. I saw the price. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I won't say it on here because I don't know if they've changed since then, but I'm like, that's it. And signed up and have been a user ever since. Couldn't go a day without it. So I often get asked, how do you make 40 calls in an hour and a half or whatever? Because I pull up that and everything's sitting there. It's pretty easy to search by a lot of different factors. And at least here's the biggest thing. We've talked about this, I think, on the previous episode, but when I started, I had no Xdate, so I had to build an Xdate list. So that was part of my strategy. It was like, when you're calling to people, get the Xdate, put it on the Xdate list. I don't even have to really worry about that anymore. In my state, every state's a little different in terms of premium and like who to target, but I know like, okay, this is a good size prospect and here's their Xdate, at least their work comp Xdate. Sometimes they're different, but either way. And that's a great starting point. So Rob, if you're listening, send us some swag, send us a hat or a shirt, and I'll wear it on the podcast. I love it.
Rob, I will not. All right. Real quick, side note, all states are not created equal. So like in my state, in Louisiana, I don't get the premium amount. Micah does. So Micah has less qualifying to do. I know some states that they just don't have a lot of data, either because they don't report to NCCI or for whatever reason. So please do your due diligence. Go check it out. Make sure that it's a right fit for you and that they have enough data in your state for it to make sense. Also, for the 3 or 4 EB producers that listen to this podcast, they've got all the stuff in there you need as well. So, all right, moving on. Let's poke on that tender spot a little bit. Micah, you took an L last week, and you gave me a little bit of a rundown on it. So why don't you lead us off with what happened? And I'll say this. I've been knowing you for 3-4 years now, and I think if my memory serves me bit, I think I've known you to lose 2 accounts ever to be BOR'd away from you in the last 4 or 5 years. So this is a rarity. So please walk us through what the hell happened.
So just full disclosure, I didn't lose it from a competing quote or anything like that. This was an AOR, so which stings even worse. And it does suck. It hurts, man. I was telling you just before I get into what happened, it was I was pretty in a pissy mood I felt bad because I heard it in the morning. It was crazy. I hear it in the morning on our pre-renewal strategy call. I was all excited because we got the renewal in over 90 days out. It was another good renewal. This was going to be our second year. It's like 35 in revenue. So nice size account. And when you're rebuilding, this is another factor. Every deal you lose kind of stings even more, until you get to like, when you're at that like $1.5 million bookmark, too, it probably stings less. It still stings, but not to the same effect as when you're rebuilding. So like, hey, you take 2 steps forward, then you feel like you're taking a step back, and like, so, yeah, man. So they tell me, I was talking with the CFO in the morning, and she's like, hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but the owner has made a decision to go back to his like old agent. Like when he first started the company, I was like, what? She's like, he's making some really crazy decisions. She's like, I actually quit for a week. And he's been there like 15 years. She's like, I quit for like a week a couple months ago and then came back because he's just making some weird decisions. I tried fighting for you, blah, blah, blah. But his mind's made up. I'm like, okay. And I wasn't pissed at her, but it just totally caught me off guard, right? And so I was like kind of digging deeper, and she's like, the only thing he said is like, because I honestly, dude, I met this guy 6 years ago, didn't go anywhere. We had our first meeting. He's like, hey, I'm not ready to move. I'm like, okay, great. And I haven't touched base with him since. I touched base with him last year, but he's totally almost removed from the business now. And now the CFO kind of is that person running the show, right? So that's kind of the backdrop. So here's what happened. He reaches out to me in the spring. I remember the call because he never called me ever, any other time. And I remember they're like, hey, so-and-so wants to reach out to you. He has a question on this like employee injury issue. I'm like, okay, take the call, talk to him right away, call them immediately. We talked on the phone, and we partner with a consulting firm, a third party that's like HR issues, especially because here's what I'll say this, guys, is like, we always say, like, hey, you don't need to know everything, but just know someone who does. And so I kind of take that approach. Like I know enough. And so I had a conversation with him, stated my opinion, but I said, hey, we have an HR expert but that's no cost to you. Like he's awesome. I'll connect you. And that's literally how the call ended. And I sent him an email, a couple policies and procedures, like stock ready to go, that I was like, hey, put your name on these. You can use these for future references, but also here's the contact name. Let me know if you need anything. And I even have the email, and that's how it left off. I didn't think much more about it. Apparently he took that as me passing him off, and he wants someone who knows all the answers right then and there. And so I've, like, you can tell I'm kind of in my voice, like I've gone back and forth in my head, like, what could I have done different, man? Like, and I get to this point now where it's like, there's really nothing I could have done different. I always try to get better at learning compliance stuff and things like that. So it's not like I just stick my head in the sand to it all. And I did talk with him. I didn't just immediately like, nope, can't help you, pass off. I gave him my opinion. So this is my opinion. I'm not an expert on HR or a legal expert. If you want more, like, talk with this person. I thought that was a good thing. Turns out it wasn't. Anyway, so didn't hear anything more until she told me that. And then I didn't get the AOR. She told me it was going to be coming, and I didn't get it for like a week. And then I got it. And then I got more pissed off again. I was like getting over it. I was like, and then it came back again. One of the things that was, dude, it was so crazy. I get an AOR, or he tells me that morning I'm getting AOR. Then I have a lunch meeting. He's doing due diligence, talking to 2 other brokers. And I couldn't fault him, right? Because I was like, dude, I appreciate the transparency. He's like, I'm not unhappy at all. Zero unhappiness. It's just been over 4 years. I feel like I need to just have conversations. That I get it, man. Like, I don't blame you. Now that deal, he's staying with us. So there's, I said, it's kind of another important story here is like, if you're going to preach due diligence, you can't fault your clients for wondering or having some curiosity or having conversations every 4 to 5 years. And I think you put a post on this about being radically transparent and honest. And like, I think it's being radically non-hypocritical. You got to be real. Like, you got to put yourself in your buyers and your client's shoes. Like, if they want to talk to other brokers, like, don't try to like gaslight them or discourage them or bully them, like, or make them feel dumb about it. And so that's what I did, and it worked out fine. Right. So yeah, so that all happened in one day. And then I was, your head gets spinning. I'm going to lose all my clients. Oh man, I'm going to go broke. Like, what's going to happen? How are we going to pay the bills? My book's going to shrink. You start thinking about every client that could leave you and how they could leave you.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And those are just real thoughts, man. So I'm just being honest, like, with you guys, like, that I'm still go through it, right? I've been doing this 14 years. So I think I've gotten better at keeping the pissy mood shorter, but there's still that time to go through it. And, it also did kind of frustrated me because I did reach out to the owner directly that day or the next day. I was like, hey man, I heard this. I'm not trying to change your mind. I just want to kind of hear it from you, like what happened. He never called back, right? So it's like,
oh God.
Yeah, and then so part of me, dude, I had these bad thoughts about him in my head, right? A lot of bad words, a lot of bad thoughts about this guy. And then I had to let it go. I had to like just be like, no man, he's just, from his viewpoint, he's doing what he thinks is best, no hard feelings. And so now I've got to the point where I don't feel ill will towards him. I wish him the best. Like it just is what it is. And on to the next one. But not easy, man. Not easy.
Yeah, I hate this business sometimes. I really do. I really loathe this business sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh me. All right, so let's talk about what to do. After
that's all like how it all feels.
Yeah, because right, we have the feels, and then there's like, okay, well, what the hell do I do next? So let's talk about that. Where do we go from here?
Yeah. So that all happened in the morning. Go to lunch, get kind of more bad news that same day. And then I got home and I was like sulking and I was like, this is stupid, dude. And I just hit the phones. Like you can't sit around and sulk. You can process it in your head or whatever, but like at the end of the day, no one's going to feel sorry for you. And also I have a family to provide for and feed, and I have goals I want to hit. I'm like, you know what? And also just sitting there doesn't make me feel any better, and I'm not saying you don't try to avoid like dealing with things, right, that you're feeling, but at the same time, you can't just sit there forever. So I had a lot of drive time that day in between lunch meeting and back, and got back and just hit the phones, man. I was like, I got to start hitting my 40 calls a day because I kind of been missing that number the last 2 months for good reasons, but some also just kind of reasons that aren't acceptable. And so I hit it really hard that whole week, like 59 calls the next day, 40 calls that day, and like, I've really made an effort these last 2.5 weeks to really just get my activity back where it needs to be. And that helps. When you start to get new opportunities in your pipeline, you kind of forget about the people who leave you, right? And I think I was kind of thinking about this the other day. Like, every account that you write, you almost got to view as insurance, right? Like, hey, I hope I never have to need it. But it's there, and if I don't need it, it's like almost like insurance, but with a benefit, right?
Risk mitigation.
Yeah. But if you don't, you have to use it as insurance, then you get to gain on the upside, right? So it's kind of a cool insurance. So, anyways, that's really all I could tell you. Like what to do is like in this situation when you take the one thing I would say, take a high road too. So like immediately after, don't say everything that's on your mind and don't burn a bridge. Take the high road, as painful as it is, and it's like what the old Abraham Lincoln deal, like write the letter and then delete it for like a day or something. And so that's another lesson I learned, because earlier in my career, I definitely would have let the ego get in there, would have probably left some passive aggressive type of voicemails, I wouldn't have been over the top, but I would have been definitely passive aggressive, very, very snarky. And now I realize that that's just my ego, and that's like me sounds weak, but your ego's hurt, right? And you're pissed. And so you're acting out of fear. And so that's the first thing I'd say is don't do that. Feel all the feelings, think all the thoughts, talk to your spouse or your buddy or whoever about it. And then don't immediately, act on that. And then just start acting. Just get back to the basics, man. And that's all you can do, and then go on from there.
How will you pursue this account moving forward, or based off of how you left it, you just going to let it die? I mean, what are your thoughts moving forward?
So the owner's in his mid 80s. I don't know. My contact, I would definitely, me and her left on great terms, right? So I will definitely probably keep in touch with her once a year just to see kind of how it's going. And so probably just put it on follow-up in insurance Xdate for 5 months prior to the renewal and just say, hey, how's it going? And is so-and-so still alive? I almost dropped his name there.
I'll try to bleep that out.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's kind of what, I definitely will, because he will probably be exiting. I mean, he's in his upper 80s, so yeah, we'll see what happens. And who knows, but the business might just completely fold when he's gone. The part that even pours more salt in this whole wound is 3 weeks ago, I lost another account due to acquisition and sale. And so that one's in August. This one hits September. So it's just kind of like boom, boom. It's like, oh, there's, 50 plus in revenue combined. That's why you got to always be writing new business, and you can't just get complacent.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
So.
But I mean, a couple of things I'm taking away from this is, number one, whether you're at 1 million like you are or a few hundred like me, you never feel safe. I don't like that. I have this idea that I'm going to get to 500 or 1 million and it's going to feel better. But
you got to get past that. I think everyone
it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Or you just have to have so many small accounts that it just like there's so much buffer there that, yeah. I also have bite your tongue. No good responses ever come out of emotional, quick back atches. I am the king of that. I've walked myself in work, relationships, just life in general. The quick snapback never goes well for me. I always end up putting myself in a position that I don't like. Nothing goes good. And then also the main thing is like, another thing I wrote down is you lose because they don't know shit about insurance. And so that's happened to me a gajillion times. Like, this guy doesn't understand that you can't know everything about HR. You literally are bringing him these coveted resources, that everybody jerks off to. And you're like literally providing it to him for free because you've partnered with these people to bring it to him. But in his mind, you're supposed to be the know-all, be-all of anything, insurance, human resources, risk, whatever. And so he gets butt hurt and then takes it to somebody. And so that's been a recurring theme in my career as well, is either unrealistic expectations by the client. They just don't understand how insurance works or how distribution works or how coverage works, or they're just wrong because they don't know insurance or something to do with insurance. You literally lose accounts because of that. And you just have to be okay with it because it's just going to happen. Like, how many stories have you heard where, coverage doesn't respond, claims triggered, it doesn't respond because there's this, that, and the other, and they hold you accountable, but you're like, no, actually, there's a silica exclusion in every policy. You know what I mean? Or like it's a brownout, power out. It is what it is. It's your property's not going to respond. It's just nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. No, 100%. And that's a great point, because that brings up two different thoughts. Is one, I have another large client that was pissed at me about a month ago because her lawyer tries saying, oh, now that this lawsuit changed a little bit and they're accusing you of negligence, I think this is an insurable offense. And right when I heard that, I was like, and she knew it wasn't. And then all of a sudden her lawyer said, we think it is. And I'm like, you guys are setting me up to look like an idiot. Now you're setting me up to look like the bad guy, which pissed me off. So we get this conference call, send in the claim. Sure enough, it's denied a day later. And I kind of forewarned them, like, hey, we'll see what happens, guys. But based on what I'm seeing, like, this is just a dispute, a business dispute, right? It's not an insurable offense. That's the biggest thing. And then she's pissed. So she's not necessarily pissed at me, but that's what it always starts with, getting pissed at the carrier. And then you take calls, and then it starts to kind of bleed into the agent, and we get thrown in there. So I don't know what's going to happen. I try to come across as, hey, give me some more documentation, some more evidence so I can fight for you. But this is based on what they're saying. And what your policy says, I'm not surprised by this, right? Like, and so that kind of stuff can happen. And I also know guys who, like you said, lost accounts where it's like this kind of situation, right? Where like claims, quote unquote claims that were never claims, occur. And they need to make a change now. The owner does. They can't work. I don't know. So that kind of stuff just happens. This is also another thing that could be a whole other topic. And I did a short on our YouTube channel on this, but a buddy of mine lost a $1 million premium account, so like over 100 of revenue. The people have claims, right? They're moving around every year. They're looking, they're doing a great job from service standpoint, but the clients, like, seen their cost go from $500,000 to over $1 million over the last 3-4 years. we got to do something, right? I can't just sit on my hands. And he, at the pre-renewal strategy meeting, which he does, 90, 120 days out, he kind of forewarns them, hey guys, it's been another rough year. It could be a 25% increase. Well, that basically cost him the account, right? So the question becomes like, this is what pisses us off as agents, right? Business owners they hate last minute renewals. They hate surprises, but they're kind of creating this vicious cycle. They don't like it, but then when you tell them the truth early, they don't like that either. So then they go fire you. And then this creates in us as agents, this like fear-based approach or defensiveness style where we're like, dude, if I be real with this guy, I know I'm going to lose the account, and now
you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah. So it's like, no, I personally always, what I tell my buddies, like, dude, you did the right thing, man. At least you can sleep at night. And if I'm with you, like, you got to still tell the client early, even at risk. And that's where, again, back to your radical honesty point you made like last week, I think on the Max Revenue channel, just a post, but like, yeah, it's just so frustrating. And so I think at the end of the day, it's like, why, I don't know if this is a Buddhist philosophy or something where it's like, that's just the nature of things, so and like you just said, you just kind of have to accept it. And so I think getting pissed about like this stuff is natural, but then to get so worked up where it eats you alive is just, it's not healthy. And so you just need to understand that that's kind of the nature of business and the nature of selling insurance. And so just accept that, and don't stoop down to those levels. So still go out and do the pre-renewal strategy meeting, still be radically transparent and honest, even when it doesn't help you. And you're going to get some people that are going to burn you. Right. And that's fine. And that's why it's so important though, to not just sit on your hands and after you've hit a certain number and always to stay active and, and to take the high road, it'll serve you well in the long run, but it's frustrating, man, for sure.
All right, let's pivot here just a little bit. I got a question from a guy, and it's very much in the same line of what you're talking about. But let's say you go and you present to somebody, right? You're a finalist meeting and you lose, or even just like you get a first meeting with them, but it just doesn't go. Actually, I'm looking at this card right here. I'm not going to show the card on screen, but I mean, this was a no-brainer. I was promised a seat at the table for the upcoming renewal for finalist. Yep. Something happened and it fell through. And so, I'm now about 5 months out, 6 months out, and I'm like, what's the best way to go about this? You know what I mean? So what does that look like when you take an L where you actually don't get the at bat, or you do get the at bat and you lose? Not you got fired like you did.
Correct. Thanks, man. Thanks.
Sorry.
No, I get it.
But you take the L. What is your take on the follow-up for that? How do you stay in the mix without being pushy, clingy? What does that look like?
Good question. So my approach is pretty okay. So I take the L. Again, always take the high road, right? Wish them well. Don't badmouth the competition on the way out. And then let time do its thing. So, when the renewal is, so I would always set up, my first follow-up would be about a month after that. Hey, how'd the renewal go for you? Just checking in, wanted to see how the renewal went for you. Hopefully everything, I'm sure, it exceeded your expectations. If you had any questions, just figure it to be a resource for you. You can either call them or email. Yeah, go ahead.
When I send that, I almost never get a response. Is that your experience too?
For sure. Yep. Okay. You're kind of putting it out there because here's the thing, it would have to go really bad for them to respond, right? So, okay, so that's your first touch. And then from there, dude, I'm not overly aggressive, like monthly drop-ins or anything, or even adding them to newsletters. From there, it's probably once every 4 to 6 months. And only if I have something relative at the 4-month mark or something. Like if I had like a super, I'll set it out for 4 months, and this is why in my CRM, I'll set it 4 months and I'll just put in the notes of like, hey, if you have a relevant article, send it at this point. And then if not, I don't send anything. And then I just push it back out. Now, the time I will talk is usually 6 months to 5 months prior to the renewal the next year. It's just a normal, hey, I know you just changed last year. I don't expect there to be issues, but I know sometimes when people change, things don't go according to plan. If you catch you on the phone and just say, hey, I just wanted to at least reach out because I thought we could help you last year. But I'm not, my hopes aren't high, but just wanted to see. And a lot of times you have a cordial conversation, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then maybe at that point, it's like, hey, that's it. I mean, so don't overthink it. I mean, there's nothing, you're not trying to change, you're not going to change their mind. And the last thing, they just went through a huge effort to make a change of vendors. So they're not going to be wanting to make a change for 2-3 years, unless something goes crazy bad. And you just got to accept it. And so the biggest thing is prioritize other prospects. So put this one on the shelf. That's the great thing about a CRM. Takes literally almost no effort just to keep in touch, maintain, and just they don't forget about you. And then focus on other prospects that are. That's what insurance is all about. I've learned is like, that's why sometimes I don't even get caught up in like the sales script so much. Cause we've always talked about this, like, it's almost like we've said you're sorting, almost not selling. There's very few times you change someone's mind completely on a cold call. It's like, and that's where it's like, and then it goes back even further. Well, then it's kind of an activity game, right? Like you got to have enough seeds that are planted out there.
It's a numbers game. That's blasphemy. Don't say that. I know.
That's going to get chopped up and someone's going to be like, this is the worst sales coach in the world. Even though I'm not a sales coach, but yeah, what is funny about the numbers game is now I've kept stats for, I've gone on 7.5 months. I haven't missed a week of keeping stats. And it is kind of ironic. The months where I make more calls, you would never believe this, but I get more conversations and more meetings. Isn't that wild? Wild. So I don't know where we're going.
So let me say this real quick. Obviously, we're selling you something. Okay, so let me preface it with that. All right, comma. There's just like if it looks like shit and it smells like shit, it's probably shit. It is everywhere. Where it's not about numbers. You don't have to do cold outreach. Like if someone's offering you an easier, faster, quicker, effortless way to do whatever it is, weight loss, sales, marriage, if they're offering you a shortcut, it's bullshit. It's either they're selling you something, and I can almost guarantee you if they have any intellectual honesty, they're not actively doing the thing in the moment. So I feel, I know that should be obvious.
We feel better now.
That should be obvious, but it's like.
Well, we all fall for it because we're all humans, right? We want easier. We want to work less hard to get better results. So. And
let me tell you, if I find an easier, softer way, I'm not telling you. Because I'm just going to sit there and milk that thing for all it's worth. I'm damn sure not telling you about it.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
we're suckers for shiny objects, and I'm the king of it. I'm here to.
There's also this was interesting. I saw a video this weekend, and it inspired me to do a video on our YouTube channel, a short. But it was there's the being and the doing, right? And so I think a lot of times, and like we sell a course, obviously, right? You guys, hopefully, if you're listening to this, you know that we sell a course. We don't ever advertise it, but we do sell a course that I think is pretty good value, really good value.
Well, you would because you made it.
Yeah, correct. So
your stupid mug in your dirty ass office.
But here's where I think you can buy courses, you can do all this stuff, the 7 steps, and maybe that did work for that person, right? So for me, we have a course. It has worked for me. I can tell you, 6 figures of revenue now, 14 years, or not 14, I was at Federated. 11 years of being an agent every year, right? And I think even my first year when I thought I missed it, I actually hit it because I actually cross-sold a $100,000 account that I don't give myself credit for. I say all that to say, there's the being and the doing side. So you could do everything Micah Salas does. You could do everything Alex Hormozi does, and you could still miss out on the results. There's also the being side. Like it's a kind of we all kind of give off an energy as a person, right? And like if you're an ass or like just a terrible attitude, people also don't want to buy stuff from people they don't like, right? And so if you're getting off an energy to prospects of like just a guy they don't like, you can do all the right things habitually speaking, but you're not bringing in clients, or maybe you are, but you're kind of miserable still. That's where you got to check kind of your internal, your internal person and kind of get that right of like, who are you being? Who are you as a human? And maybe you're missing all these. You're buying the courses, but you're never being successful. But maybe there's something internally also that you got to figure. Maybe you have a limited mindset, right? Maybe you just don't think you're good enough. Maybe you think you suck. Maybe whatever, and that's holding you back. And you're giving off this energy like you don't deserve to have success. So there's also that aspect which I think is interesting, but we don't need to get down all those rabbit holes right now. So,
yep. Anything else you want to go into? I've got a 9:45 meeting here.
Oh, look at you. No. I don't have anything else. Thank you guys for listening. All 10 of you. Thank you, Insurance Xdate, for sponsoring. Go buy our course. Go check out our YouTube channel. We're blowing up. No, we're not. We're over 1,000 subs though. So thank you to everyone who's watching over there. And check out the newsletter. It's pretty good.
Bing, bang, bingo, bingo. One last thing. Just going back to doing the boring stuff every day. There's no shortcuts.
Yeah.
When we crossed 1,000 subs, I was like, man, that just took a lot longer than I expected. And so I went and I looked and I was like, how many videos have we made? 424 videos. Now, a lot of those are shorts.
Yeah.
But it's still like long form. I know we've done at least one a week for the last 2.5 years. So I'm not great at math, but that's well into the hundreds. It's like 150 to 200 long form videos, and we're just crossing 1,000. It's like whatever. And I put this up this morning on LinkedIn. If you're anything like me, everything takes 5 times longer than you expect. Yep. So just gird your loins, be patient.
Enjoy the process.
There are people out there who get from A to Z way faster. They're overnight successes. I've never been one of those, and to have that expectation is just completely ridiculous and setting myself up for heartbreak. So just what are the daily inputs that I need to do? Make sure that I do that, and it takes as long as it takes.
Absolutely. So. Good reminder.
All right, man. I'll let you run. Adios, guys. Thanks for listening. Everything Mikey just talked about is in the show notes. And, we'll catch you next week.
Adios.
Adios.